Uh, Let's up the score. This is your boy Chris from episode 8. We're gonna talk about number of football this today. Uh, because NFL starts today. I'm gonna talk about week 0, week 1 college football, the games I watched, the top 20, I my power rankings, and we're gonna talk about the Super Bowl and the divisional games too for the NFL. So mainly this whole episode is basically going to be about football and my predictions and where it's going to land at this year. So we're going to talk. We're going to go ahead and slide on to college football. We're going to talk about week 0 and week 1 too. So I watched the games I watched week 0 that I thought was good in my eyes was the Colorado Georgia Tech game and South Florida versus Boise State. Uh, But those games, I'm gonna go ahead and start off talk about the South Florida game, the South Florida and Boise State game. Watching that game, to me, what stand out to me about that South Florida and in Boise State game was I ain't thought that the Bulls will come after the Broncos like that and Brown in the offensive side of football for South Florida just came and smashed the Boise State in the mouth. I was shocked. I was thinking it was going to be kind of close, but I wasn't expecting the beat down from them. And they could. What I liked about it, they kept on running the ball down their throats. So they ain't let up at all throughout the whole entire game. Um, Brown looks good coming back from his ACL tear. I knew it was a leg injury. I think it was ACL tear. Uh, he looks good. Boise State got a returning quarterback. He looked. I won't say he looked bad, but he looked real. He looked shaky out there. Plus, since Asti Genty is gone, is they they what's the word I'm gonna use? Their identity. They gotta find a whole new identity to with their next game. What's their identity for the next couple of weeks? They just week 1, and they got beat on both sides of the trenches. So Boise, but before, especially when they go to Pac-12 next year, they gotta figure out what works for them going to the next, because they ain't gonna be in Mount Rest. So I'm pretty sure once conference break comes, they gonna wipe the floor with them. But against South Florida, it was to me that was insane watching that game. I was like, my mouth was dropped. I wasn't expecting them to get punched in the mouth like that. So my ooh, um, the the thing about South Florida is South Florida and the thing in the American Conference. So for them, they got a good shot winning a conference because the perspective is for them is they ain't messing around. They just came up and it's just like, look, this is the first game we're gonna make a statement. The statement is that we're gonna punch you in the mouth, boys, and this is what we're gonna be like the rest of the year. So Bryce is a dual threat quarterback. Bryce Brown is a dual threat quarterback. He'll run and pass. So they just let you know we're gonna be grit and grind, and we're gonna punch you in the mouth. Don't care it's Memphis, uh, Tulane. They put him. Tulane made a statement against Northwestern too. So, like I said, they making enough noise and saying, look, we coming after the division too, and the the long term for I'm gonna put it like this: the long term for South Florida is to me that as long as Brown stay healthy and they stay on the right track, we can be a G5 playoff team. None more, none less. But I like the fact they gave boys a good punch in the mouth, letting them know, hey, we here. And Boise is trying to let they would to them they should have made a statement on them letting them know, hey man, we trying to make the beginning that small that at large lead for the playoff too for the 12 team. For for right now, long term, Bryce we get long term is Bryce gotta stay healthy. The coach they got is real good. Not gonna say real good, but he's a good coach. And they need to let them know out front that like we trying to make the playoff run. Now, for my perspective for Boise is they gotta get better on the trenches. But I know for me, I know boys were they was in my power rankings. If you look on my TikTok, they was in my power rankings. Um, I think they outside of it. I think they in, but they out of it this week. I can tell you that much. Uh, Boise is needs to work on work on the trenches, make a solid game plan on the offensive ball because they were 6 and 17 the third down conversion. That's really terrible for them. Like I said, they gotta find another uh, identity for them because Ashton is gone, and so they gotta find out who's gonna be their playmaker, how they gonna get a solid game plan for their starting quarterback so they can go on at least a couple game win streak. So they could take advantage and win the Mountain West, and then after that, that's it from them. There ain't gonna be no more. So with them, they gotta play. Well, they gonna have the same teams in the Mountain West, but they gonna have a little harder teams. To me, they they in the division with they got Oregon and Washington State. They used to be former Power Four teams, but so they gonna be more of the when they grab them team, they're gonna be still more a G5 team. But at the end of the day, they should be a top 3 team in the Pac-12 next year. So, like I said, that's my that's it for that game. Cause that's what I got from it for that game. Moving on, I'm gonna talk about Georgia Tech and Colorado. Georgia Tech, Georgia Tech looks good. Like I said, in my mind before the season, the Georgia game, I was thinking they bring Haynes Kings back. Uh, they gonna be good. They got their running back back. They just lost one of the receivers and went to Auburn. But like I said, they gonna put a lot of hurt on them, like they did Colorado, because they ain't gonna do nothing playing smash my football. And I think Georgia Tech should be at least I want to say top 3 team in the ACC, maybe 3 to 5. They can get a chance to creep up in an ACC championship game and play against Clemson. But like I said, they offense and their defense is going to be they 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 gonna be very cohesive because they know what they're gonna do. Um, that's I mean compared to actually that these those 2 teams they on 2 different perspectives to me because Tech is trying to go up and try again to the playoffs or make a name, especially for the next year, really, because they go 10-3, 9-4. There's more recruits coming in. They can grab some more transfer first to come in and plus they can get better in their standpoint. And Atlanta's a hotbed for recruiting, so they changed their perspective. They keep playing like this against Colorado, they're gonna change their perspective recruiting because, like I said, they in Georgia. They go to places. They in the major hotbed of Georgia. Go in Atlanta and pick up a few people. They can pick up more guys in country, and they can go over to South Carolina and grab a few kids. That lives right on the borderline, so they don't have to go too far to go to Columbia or Greenville or places like that. They can go a little bit in the inside. Same thing going a little bit in Tennessee, a little bit in Alabama, in that pipeline trying to grab people in. So that's my thing about Georgia Tech. They can level up. on Colorado side. Uh, they should have. To me, they should. To me, Colorado. Dion's a good coach. My thing about them was they should have took advantage of those turnovers that Georgia Tech left on the field. They just never converted on them. Another issue I have with Dion's defensive side of football, they last year they learned to stop in the run. I think they can stop the run with a running back. The problem they have is against mobile quarterbacks. Haynes King, you know, just pounding away. They can't they can't stop him. They can't stop Jamal neither. But that's what's going to be their issue. Another issue they're going to have too is same thing like Boise. They got to find another identity because they don't have Shador or Travis no more on defense and offense. So Dion got to find a way to figure out, especially in the quarterback situation. Caden Salter, he looked pretty good out there, but I think he left some players on the field. Uh, I mean, he didn't turn over the ball, but they still got speedsters on the outside. They learn they same thing on their run defense, and they get a little better on in the trenches trying to run the ball, but they got to get better at certain things. Um, so I don't, I don't know what they're gonna do because they got Byron Leftwich and you got Pat Sherman as the offensive coordinator. I don't know if the play calling was bad or what, or I don't know if it's time for Juju to get in there and take over. But Caden Sumner got Caitlin got to play a lot better. Um, and not Juju's way in the wings, way to do his thing. So they gotta figure out what's their identity on offense, and they gotta figure out what helps them on defense. But the problem on defense, like I said, is maintain. They're not big in the trenches. They're not like Ohio State and Texas. They're not super big on the trenches. So they got like Dion got a pound of pay, got a pound of payment, and find you some guys that really be suited for in the trenches. You gotta find a guys like Warren size to actually clog up the paint. No, I'm talking about basketball terms now, but they had to clog up and clog up the interior so they could push the offensive lineman back instead of pushing them forward and just then getting punched in the mouth all the time. So, like I said, Colorado gonna have some issues in the Big 12 this year because they can't stop King. That Dan Pierre guy in Utah ain't no joke. He ain't nothing to fuck with. I can tell you that right now. He ain't nothing to fuck with. So he's gonna be that's the keys he has to make Colorado to get to the top at least. But that's my thoughts on that game because that was a real good game. I always when I looked at the point spread, I'm like, oh, this could go either way. And especially in Colorado. But like I said, Georgia Tech got a chance to go to the top of the ACC as long as King don't get injured. And they got to keep pounding the pavement in the ACC because last week ACC looked pretty decent. You got besides Clemson's little issue, Miami did well, and Florida State showed and said, "Hey, we are back," and we put feet in the mouth or Clemson tie. So that's gonna be their standpoint of the ACC. Like I said, you might have 2 or 3 teams in the playoffs for the ACC. So like I said, that's the G5 schools have no hiccups this year. So like I said, I like the year so far going on for them. Uh, like I said, I'm gonna put it like the winners and the losers are week 0. The losers of Colorado and boys are another loser, or they week 0. And I think I was gonna say Cake State coming back from Iowa, Ireland our against Iowa State in Ireland, and then that's the winners to me on week 0. Cake State, I mean Iowa State, uh, Georgia Tech, and Nebraska. I'm gonna I'm gonna say a little spiel about the Nebraska team. So Nebraska got a chance to be a semi-play. Well, they could be a playoff team too because they ain't really got no. Just like Tech, they schedule don't look monstrous at all. It looked real easy to get 9 or 10 wins this year because they really don't play the top 14. I think they played one. Same thing with Georgia Tech. I think they play at least one or two of the top teams, but things can change throughout the season. So, like I said, they got an easier schedule. So that's the big winners of that in that department of what happened in week 0. Moving on to week 1, I'm gonna go ahead and tell the games I watched during that I watched during week 1. The Georgia Tech Virginia Tech game, Miami Notre Dame game, TCU North Carolina game, and LSU and Clemson, Ohio State, Texas, and Florida State and my excuse me, Florida State, Alabama. Sorry. Um, so I'm gonna tell you a few things. I'm gonna start off with the few games I looked at. I'm gonna go ahead and start watch the. We're gonna start the Ohio State Texas game. Ohio State defeated Texas 14-7. Uh, the winners of that game is the Buckeyes defense, and they locked it down pretty much. Archie didn't look so well because to me, reason why Archie didn't look so well, he made some good LFL throws. The problem he had, to me, his was it 3 stars or 2 stars? His three, I'm gonna say it's two. I'm gonna say 2 stars. His 2 stars was at home, so he really never really did a road start until this last Saturday. So I understand having the nervous jitters and all that because it's different. You playing outside of Austin. You come to Columbus in the 70,000 plus seats. So that's why I took away from that. And plus on that, and plus to me, another thing about Texas is Texas. I believe Shark going to fix the offense to make it better to make Manny more efficient. Make sure they got a running game, throw the ball on the outside, take advantage of his athletic team. But Texas gonna see more defenses like Ohio State, not to that tier, but but to me, they practice every day because to me, Ohio State and Texas probably got one of the top 5 defenses in college football right now. So they going against the offense going against one of the toughest defense in the country. And another thing I'm taking away from this game is the game felt like a playoff atmosphere. You know, they coming to Texas. It felt like a first round game. That's what it felt like to me. Plus, on top of that is, at the end of the day, another thing I took away is um, uh, the defensive coordinator, Matt Patricia. So I think what he did a really good job getting the defense prepared, ready for Texas, and that bagger's hat and that laminated play sheet he got did him wonders just last Saturday against Texas. So that I gave him an A against it. I gave him an A for having a good. See, they to me that sound like that Ohio State study up, make sure nobody make sure that Texas don't outscore them. So another takeaway I had was offensively, Julius saying played he played good enough to not to make no mistakes. He played to the point that only thing he had to do is play a good game, play mistake free, and make sure you give it to your playmakers. Or he know he go 3 and out. He know he got one of the best defenses in the country, so he ain't have to worry about being phased on it. But next week for them, they play Glamour next week. So for Ohio State, they're gonna put up points on the board. So really, their defense offense, they're gonna have a rest day next this weekend coming up. So that's my takeaways from Ohio State and Texas game. On the next game, we'll say I'm gonna go LSU and Clemson. LSU 17, Clemson 10. Uh, the winners to me are LSU grinding a scoring game battle. So it let me know LSU got a good defense too. Like I said, Archie got. I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken, let me look it up right quick. I'm pretty sure, not off the top, I think Texas and LSU play this year. If that's the case, Art should be playing another team with a good defense. So they play LSU. They show against Clemson like, hey man, we back on business now. We got Harold Perkins back, and he the best defensive talent in the whole entire SEC in that conference, maybe in the country, outside of Caden Downs. You let him know, hey man, I'm back. So, but like I said, um, I think Arch gonna play. I said I think I think they're gonna I think they play each other this year. So that's what I'm thinking. But we're gonna see how it goes and whatnot. Sorry for that, cause phone was dropped in my hand. I had to make sure I had to catch it the whole 9 yards. But and another thing I came away from it is that, see, make sure right quick. I'm look at that schedule real quick. No, he got Georgia A&M and Florida got a good defense too. Like I said, he got a lot on his hands. So basically, he can turn he can turn it over. He can turn his thing around. But like I said, he got to play better because once they get in conference play, like I said, he ain't gonna see the best defense like Ohio State, but they're gonna be somewhere up to that tip. But he already playing against a defense like that at practice every day, so I think he'll be a lot better. Uh, Back to the LSU game. LSU, Brian Kelly got the opening win off his back, so now he's going there with a clear mind, just going there like, well, we just gotta do and win the conference and get in the playoff. So that's all he had to do. And uh, the quarterback, what's his name? Nussmeier. Nussmeier played pretty well. Um, like I said, they was giving Clemson a hard time in the trenches too. So I like the fact that, and the loser, I mean, they the big winners of that game. The winners of that game, essentially, I think that's why they won. That's why I think the takeaway from the winner's side for LSU. The loser side is, well, the question is about Clemson is they the same team like they were last year? They're gonna stay standing. They're gonna go up. They're gonna go, or they're gonna lose 4 games this year. We don't know what Clemson is. The thing about Clemson is Clemson got all their returns back. Their defense is good. Uh, K gotta play better in a big. I think K Cullen gotta play better in big games. And plus, on top of that, I think the Williams kid got injured in that game. Um, they Dabo got to figure out something, but I'm pretty sure in my mind, the way I'm predicting in my head, that I'm pretty sure they probably most likely gonna be in the ACC championship game. That's between Miami, Tech, uh, and Florida State. Florida State, Miami, and I think Tech, and maybe Louisville somewhere might be coming out of the dark horse too. So we'll see how that's gonna play out. But Clemson's gonna pretty much gonna be the 1A of that game. So they just waiting on who's gonna be there. I forgot SNU. SNU gonna be another team who's gonna try to get their way back into the title game. But the line I took out from it was LSU. LSU showed that they can win ugly, and Clemson is the same old story. Defense solid, but the offense is a question mark right now. So, like I said, at the end of the day, K. Cutler gotta play better. The next game was say South Carolina, Virginia Tech. South Carolina 24, Virginia Tech 11 in a neutral site game in Atlanta. Um, the big winners are South Carolina and Lenore Sellers. He showed out. He played good. He threw a deep ball to Harper, one of the fastest guys on the team. Well, I think it was like an 86-yard bomb. The run game, the defense stand up. They did real good with that. The biggest takeaway about the biggest takeaway for the winner of this game for South Carolina is Lenore Sellers has to stay healthy and play within the game and don't make mistakes minimal as possible. The order to South Carolina either get to the title game or at least get to a playoff or be a top 5 team in the SEC. Uh, Another thing too, their defense showed up. Like I said, Dylan Stewart is a beast. So there's a couple of times their offensive lineman gave a little problems, but other than that, like I said, the winners of Sellers, the defense, and had their run game a little consistent. Like I said, at the end of the day, Sellers has to stay healthy, keep the beam ball going, and make the mistakes limited to the point they can get to the top. The losers are Virginia Tech offense. Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech's offense it did sort of look flat. That's the thing. See, the thing about Jones. Jones is a pretty good quarterback in the SEC division, ACC division, I say. But Jones he's pretty good. The problem they have is I think they lack a little consistency on the offensive side of the ball. They I don't they that's that one receiver they got. He's pretty good, but I don't think they lack. To me, I think they lack playmakers. Uh, to my standpoint, at least. Uh, and the defense just it looked a little sus. It ain't like the Virginia Tech like the early 2000s with Vic and uh, the Big Brothers was there and D'Angelo Hall and all the other guys in like the early 2000s and late 90s. So they don't the defense ain't up snuff right now. The storyline for me, the storyline after me is pretty much South Carolina shows that they belong in the top 10 a top. I'm gonna say top 10, not top 20, top 10 conversation. Why Virginia Tech look like a program that's stuck in neutral right now. So they that's how I looked at it. They are stuck in neutral right now because Drones got to play a better game. If Virginia Tech wants to get to the ACC championship game, Drones got to play better, and their defense have to look a lot better. Not like right now. I don't know that coach on the hot seat or whatnot, but he definitely ain't making it look good for him right now. Uh, moving on to the next game, I'm gonna go Florida State, Alabama. Florida State 31.